Hey guys, here to review Cannabis Corp's newest album, Beneath Grow Lights Thou Shalt Rise. For those of you who don't know who Cannabis Corpse are, they are a four-piece death metal / brutal death metal band from Richmond, Vermont. They formed around in 2006, and this band plays a style of death metal that has a lot of brutal death metal elements, but this gets a lot of people confused of what to label it, such as, should we just label it death metal or should we label it brutal death metal? And to me, it's a mix of both. Because the album is as long as an average death metal album would be. It's longer than brutal death metal, but such as tracks as Dead by the Bong and Lunatics of Pop's Creation, I mean, those really resemble like brutal death metal elements at their best. So this album and this band are really mixed of just brutal death metal and regular death metal. So let's get into the review. The vocals on this album are very okay. They get a little repetitive by the 7th track, but that's my personal opinion. The vocalist knows exactly what he's doing, though. He can switch from a low to a mid. Then he has a fry high scream, such as the band's Dagger Spawn, Suffering Upon Throwing to Depravity. If you have that album or if you've heard of it, how he uses the fry scream when the guitar riffs start kicking in, the drums are getting all brutal, how he uses that fry high to get everything pumped. That's really how he uses the fry on this album. And sorry for stuttering, I can't edit this, it's on my iPod. So yeah, how he uses the fry is basically how he uses it. Just when everything's getting pumped, he uses the fry and it's like, yeah! And it sounds really cool and brutal. The lows, though, they go from like switching to mid to low and low to mid. And he does like a yeah sound when he does it, which for me personally, I'm not a fan of that vocal type whatsoever. If you ask me personally, I am a fan of lows and straight up just lows and gutturals. But many people will like this vocal style, I know, but personally, I do not like it. But that's it. The vocals are okay on this album, nothing to really write home about. Now, the guitar riffs on this album are, for me, what makes this album just great and awesome. And this is also where people get confused of, is this brutal death metal or is this just death metal? On the first track, the first real track, not the instrumental, the guitar riff kicks in and you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is brutal, this is, just brutal death metal at its best. But as the song goes into it more, they have a slow down part where you can hear a lot of death metal bands, such as... oh, if I had to pick one. I can't really pick one offhand. I don't got one in my CD case that would remind me of their sounds offhand. I'll put a link in the annotation. But they have a slowdown part where you'd hear it in like death metal bands. Not really a brutal death metal band. A brutal death metal band would have like a breakdown or something. And these guys just have where the guitar's just going and the drums are running. And it sounds brutal and awesome. But then they have tracks such as the 5th track, Dead by the Bong, where the guitar kicks in and drums kick in, and it has breakdowns. It's non-stop, and it's just in-your-face, brutal guitar and everything. So the riffs on this album vary range from your brutal death metal to your average death metal. So it all depends on your taste. Me personally, I like the riffs on the brutal death metal tracks, but the death metal ones are really iffy on me. This album was a really iffy pick for me, but I'll tell you guys that after. So yeah, guitar riffs, very interesting and original. They're not plain old boring, just generic death metal. These guys actually took time to write guitar riffs and know exactly what they were looking for, what sound they wanted. So all in all, guitars are very great on this album. That's my personal opinion. And if I haven't said it yet, I give the vocals 3 out of 5, and I give the guitar riffs just 5 out of 5 because the creativity and the bland of the brutal death metal genre lately. The bass you can't really hear on this album, so I really don't have that much to say about it, other than it keeps the band from being a all-groove album, which I really appreciate. When you can hear the bass in some of the breakdowns, he sounds like he's playing it great. You have to really strain to hear the bass, though, in a lot of parts of the album. My personal opinion, bass is played good, 5 out of 5. I can't really say that much. I'm not good at reviewing bass because I don't know. I don't play bass, so I can't tell you how well it's played. I do vocals. So... drummer. The drummer on this album is very fast, very creative. Ooh, taking a seat. And he keeps up with the band in some parts in his own little world. And he's like, just blasting away, which is actually something I really like. Sometimes I really don't like it when the drummer's just like, oh, I'm all alone, so I'm just going to blast on the drums. No. He knows exactly what he's doing, what sound he wants. Very great, brutal drumming at its best here. So, yeah, drumming 5 out of 5. So vocals 3 out of 5, guitars 5 out of 5 for creativity, bass 4 out of 5 because I can't really hear it, I can't really judge it, and drumming 4 out of 5. These are all my personal opinions. I know a lot of people are going to actually like this vocal style, but for me personally, the vocal style just didn't do it for me. I am a fan of lows and gutturals, and I wasn't too much digging the mid-ish yak that he did in the first song. That doesn't really turn me off. The vocals are what makes an album for me usually, but the guitar riffs are really great and brutal for this album. But yeah, vocals are very decent. When he does that Fry High, it gets me even pumped and it gets me ready to go. So yeah, Fry High was great, brutal. Like that little twist in there. Vocals, I changed that 4 out of 5 because he uses a Fry High. Not a lot of death metal bands do that. Now, I have a little bit of complaint for this album, and that's really it. It's a little bit too slow for my taste. For bands that I listen to, like just brutal death metal bands such as Rest and Gore, you know, I can't find it. Why can't I find it? Such bands as Rest and Gore and Fumes of Decay, and I can't find a CD in my thing. I really, these guys, for my personal taste, were a little bit slow. But all in all, this album's really decent. I would buy it again. Yes, definitely I'd buy it again. I see no reason not to. But if you're looking for a fast, brutal death metal album, I would at least listen to their stuff on YouTube. Dead by the Bong is a great track. I absolutely love that track on this album. I listened to it repeatedly ever since I got the album. But this album is a little bit slow for my taste. That's it. That's all I got to say about this album. Great release. I'd buy it once again. No complaints for it. Other than it's just a little bit slow. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. Have a good day.